one could not really move on without answering one repetitive question that makes no sense to this mind. Does God exist? If you say God exists, then the question itself is removed. But the question wants to know an answer. And the answer comes, God is unanswerable. We have three letters, G-O-D in English language, Atman, Allah, Absolute, Brahman, Source, and other languages. But the mind is not happy with that. The mind wants to glorify God, wants to create a religion out of this word God, out of the idea. And the idea is born from that but does not know the answer. The idea that something out there or in here exists separately from life raises questions about how can I connect with this God? A few years ago, I had a knock on my front door. And when I answered, there was this two men from some religious background that I won't mention. And they asked if they could have a few words, and I said, of course you can. Would you like to come in for some tea? Oh yes. And they came in. I didn't know what they were about. But they were carrying a little book with a cross on it, and I thought, well, it must be some beautiful religious people wanting to convey their love to the world people. Because even though God is perceived as religious, everything that exists is this love. So each one of us are allowed openly to express ourselves as through a mind or an ego or whatever state, to express ourselves as what we believe or what we think or what we hope for or what we attach to or associate with. Whether we are dual, non-dual, enlightened, awakened, sleep, whether we are good people, bad people, we're allowed openly to be here and express ourselves. So during the tea, they said, we're from this religious domain. I said, very good. Would you be contented to us coming around every now and then? And I said, well, if I'm in, I have, obviously, I don't attach to any particular thing, but you know what? If you knock on the door, I'll invite you in for tea, but I'm not going to commit, because life is not me committing to life, it's life committing to me. Or the other way around, it's not me, it's not life committing to me, it's me committing to life, and whatever takes place, takes place. So, in the conversation, one of them says, do you believe in God? And I think the reaction took them completely by surprise. And I said, I don't understand that question. You don't understand the question now. Do you know about God? Oh yeah. Okay, so do you believe in God? I said, I don't understand that particular question. I don't understand the word believe. What is there not to know about God? And they were confused and tried to say so many things. And I said, it's okay, you're on a journey when you're a believer. But for some, the journey is over. Meaning, there is a meeting with God. Not this person, but a realization that all questions are foolish, that pertain to an idea that something does not exist. Everything exists. Everything that we create, thought, imagination, fantasy, from a mind that is trying to replicate and reflect what is taking place through consciousness, through God's activity, exists. Your religion exists, I said. You exist as humans, as beings. Everything is reality. Everything is truth. The universe exists and beyond it exists. Absolute Vishnu, Brahman, whatever state, whatever word you want to call it, exists. Whilst consciousness shines its light on life, everything exists. And they never came back. But they were okay. When I said, you're on a journey. Your journey is not over yet. You'll know when your journey is over. But it's not death. It's just a moment. A moment of balance, a moment of contentment. And what remains is a mind that is satisfied with its part of this discovery, of this recovery, of this uncovering. Because the mind all along is trying to get you back to that place of being. Even though it's taking you on egoistic journeys around the world and completely fantastical ideas. It will create these ideas, it will try its hardest to make each one of them come true, but in our human believing system, it's very difficult to make certain things come true. We can't all win the lottery. If we all won the lottery, then we would have to put on £1 million for our one initial ticket. But to describe what God is, it's completely crazy to the mind. But it wants desperately to try and find some sort of simple way of describing God. And for this particular being, I use the word good. Good keeps you in tune with God. But good, G-O-O-D, is an extension of the word G-O-D. So good is an extension of God. When you think life is good, you've bypassed God. When you think life is brilliant, joyful, incredibly overwhelming, you're way past God. The idea that keeps you thinking God is something, wow, we have to really try our hardest to get this experience, this emotional nirvana or Satchitananda love. When you don't use the word good and use the word rubbish, again, you've bypassed God. Good meaning you've just stepped over the line of God. So when someone says to you, or says to me, how are you feeling today, or with life, or in general? I'm permanently God. But I fluctuate to good and bad and brilliant and rubbish. But you're not saying you're God. You're saying I am feeling life as if God would want me to feel life. God is contentment. The highest form of a human being is to be content. Buddha will emphasize that. Christ within the parables and the teachings and the healings emphasizes that stability, that basic, simplistic love for something very, very subtle. So God is not overwhelming joy. That's an idea. God is not rubbish and blasphemy and hated and ridiculed. That's another idea. God is just below good. Nowhere near bad. Nowhere near brilliant. Just take away the oh. How are you feeling? I'm feeling God. That's what God is. Complete tranquil peace. Flatline contented love. The highest a being can go. When your mind reaches that enlightened state, what's taking place? It's so God. Beautiful, peaceful, and contented. But its reaction is as you would expect the mind to react. Oh my God. The mind and the enlightened state is worshipping that what it has experienced. And when it comes down from that heightened state in its glorified spiritual feeling of freedom and liberation and superiority and saintliness, it realizes life is God, meaning just below good. Just below good. Remove the all in good. How has your day been? God. It's a little bit of subtraction, isn't it? G-O-O-D. I have 4 letters. I have 1 more than you. Therefore, I am higher than you. Take away the O, and you come down to basic flatline God. An incredible peace. An incredible love. That's how this one overcame that shock of meeting God, or meeting that beautiful, placid, tranquil, holiness. That what one is within never moved in that moment. Never went up, never went down. Just immersed, disappeared. But the mind in the background and the body were feeling rejuvenated, free, high. able to travel to 5th, 6th, 7th dimension. What I say now is, you go, mind. You go to these dimensions. You go anywhere you want to go. Because I stay here. I stay now. I stay in 0 dimension. The 0 that was taken away from good to leave God as that what it is. Pure, tranquil consciousness. That appears here through breath. That's all. That's all. And always. Be below good. Move out of the 0 into the 0 of God.